Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore. How can he possibly be Spider-Man? Was he bitten by a radioactive acromantula? Maybe Tom Holland was announced as playing the younger version of Dumbledore in the TV show. Or maybe, just maybe, the story of how Dumbledore becomes the man we know him to be is identical to how Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man. And I want to start by comparing their abilities, which I know sounds ridiculous on its face. I mean, I'm comparing a wizard who requires a wand to use magic to Spider-Man, one of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel Comics, in part because of his super speed and strength, and those aren't things that we usually associate with Dumbledore, but when you look really closely at the Harry Potter series, you'll see examples of him being stronger and faster than he really has any right to be. I mean, he'll be able to lift Harry effortlessly, or like in Order of the Phoenix, after his duel with Voldemort, you would think he would be a little tired, but, he takes the head of the broken wizard statue, turns it into a portkey, and hands it to Harry like it weighs nothing, and Harry struggles to carry the thing. It's very heavy. And then in Half-Blood Prince, when he's dying and he and Harry are going after the locket, he's able to move much faster than a 100-year-old man should. And with the sudden agility of a much younger man, Dumbledore slid from the boulder, landed in the sea, and began to swim with a perfect breaststroke towards the dark slit in the rock face, his lit wand held in his teeth. Not bad for a man who is 150 years old, give or take a few years.
An astute observation has led to laughter.
But I think the biggest thing these two have in common when it comes to their power is just how often they hold back on it, how often they're pulling their punches. They're pretty much always the most powerful being in a fight, but they will go to any cost to avoid killing their opponents. I mean, in Spider-Man's case, we see this all the time. He could easily just kill all of his villains, but he never does unless there is no other option. And in Dumbledore's case, I already mentioned his duel with Voldemort. He beats him easily. And Horcruxes or not, he could at the very least turn him back into that mist where he's as close to dying as Voldemort could possibly get, but neither of them will go that far as to kill somebody. And Dumbledore should have been Minister of Magic at some point in his life, but he was afraid of what the power of the position would do, that it would corrupt him. Now, I'm not saying that all Spideys would be afraid to lead or would be corrupted by this kind of power, but especially in the MCU, there is a reason why he's just our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Plus, they are just so polite, even comically so sometimes. In Dumbledore's case, he stops and has a conversation with his would-be assassins as if they're talking about the weather. He offers Draco Malfoy protection when he has his wand pointed at him, ready to kill him. And even his last word is,
"Please."
And Peter always wants to save everyone. He's there for the little guy. And we see the culmination of all of the live-action Spider-Man movies as he tries to save his villains, all of the villains that they've fought in live-action movies, as instead of just sending them back to die and saying, hey, it's not my fault, he wants them to go back and to have a chance to do what's right. And if I'm talking about No Way Home, of course I have to bring up the moment where Tobey's Spider-Man stops Tom from killing Green Goblin. I mean, that look. Yeah, he knows what he's going through. He understands, and he's far enough along in his journey that he knows that if Tom's Spider-Man goes through with it, that he'll regret it for the rest of his life. So even then, just saving everybody, that's what Spider-Man is all about. That's what any Peter Parker would do, just to try to help even a younger version of themselves so that they don't make a mistake that they'll regret for the rest of their life. And another intrinsically important part of Dumbledore that is just classic Spider-Man is the shame that he feels over the decisions that he made as a much younger man in the early stages of his hero's journey. For Spidey, this usually takes the form of him trying to avenge Uncle Ben's death, trying to hunt down his killer to exact his revenge, but he doesn't know what it means to be Spider-Man yet, and he's actually going against Uncle Ben's wishes because all he's really doing is going on a rampage.
No! Revenge rampage!
And with Dumbledore, this comes in the form of his obsession with the Deathly Hallows, which led to him bringing Grindelwald into his life and his sister dying, something that he blames himself for the rest of his life. And even when he's in King's Cross with Harry telling him how he died, he's telling Harry about the Deathly Hallows like he's a kid who's scared to get reprimanded. You know, this is his greatest shame, and he clearly didn't tell anybody else about this. And you know, that's also kind of a classic Spider-Man move. So by this point, I hope you're saying, hey, you know what, you're actually making some good points here. I mean, I know that some of this is a little cutesy, but overall, hopefully I'm making a little sense here, but I'm sure you're wondering how I even thought of this connection. You know, what made me think of this? And it's a fair point, and for that, I'm going to read a quote from Deathly Hallows, and this, above all else, is what shows that Dumbledore's story is just another retelling of Spider-Man. Gellert, your point about wizard dominance being for the Muggles' own good. This, I think, is the crucial point. Yes, we have been given power, and yes, that power gives us the right to rule, but it also gives us responsibilities over the ruled. We must stress this point. It will be the foundation stone upon which we build. Where we are opposed, as we surely will be, this must be the basis of all our counter-arguments. We seize control for the greater good, and from this it follows that where we meet resistance, we must only use the force that is necessary, and no more. This was your mistake at Durmstrang, but I do not complain, because if you had not been expelled, we would have never met. You hear that? Maybe this'll jog some memories.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
If you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things.
And with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Yes, we have been given power, and yes, that power gives us the right to rule, but it also gives us responsibility over the ruled. Dumbledore's origin is defined by the same quote that defines Spider-Man most. And just like Peter Parker, he doesn't truly understand this message until after a family member dies in a tragic way that he will blame himself for the rest of his life. And once he understands this, he doesn't just become a more powerful hero, he becomes the hero. Not just the one who takes on the most powerful villains, but also inspires others to stand up and fight for what's right.
Man, you mess with New York! You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
And what's funny is this also kind of turns Harry Potter into Miles Morales. You know, the mentee with similar powers who sometimes replaces our hero as the hero in their community, and Miles adds the abilities to electrocute people and turn invisible, while Harry has the invisibility cloak and the lightning bolt scar on his forehead. You know, I thought the joke was that Harry Potter was just Star Wars, but it turns out it's Marvel too. You know, it's like there's almost one hero with 1,000 faces.
Okay, sorry.
And to add a little cherry on top of this, I think that we sometimes forget just how much of a goofball Dumbledore is. In part because he and Harry really only have one conversation a year, and the subject matter of it is always so serious, but at the same time, we also get very serious actors playing Dumbledore. But you know what the Dumbledoriest thing I can imagine him doing is? Hey, that's not the clip. Though I would die on the hill of Dumbledore loving that joke, but come on, you know what's coming. Let's play the real clip. Man, that's why I was excited to hear that Lithgow was going to be Dumbledore. I just really hope they let him be a goofball, because he is good at it, and honestly, even with what he's done, the jokes kind of write themselves, you know, like how nobody wants to have a drink with Dumbledore.
So, Saturday night, time to cut loose, right? Who wants to split a beer?
Or just the perfect way to undercut Snape learning that Harry has to die.
So when the time comes, the boy must die.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
But at the end of the day, we're just telling the same story of two young men with powers they can't truly comprehend until they lose someone important to them. For Dumbledore, that's Ariana, and after Aberforth punches him at her funeral and Grindelwald flees the country, he is truly alone, and a lean, silent figure slowly fades into the gathering darkness, aware at last in this world, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. But now I want to shift the question to you. How excited are you for Spider-Man Brand New Day? Wanted to get this out for that movie? Or if you want to say down below who you would pick among the Spider-Man actors to play Dumbledore, who would your choice be? Toby, Andrew, or Tom? I think there's a lot of arguments for all three of them. If you want to hear a review or anything like that with Spider-Man Brand New Day, let me know down in the comments. I'm totally down to do that after I see it. I got a review here for the Odyssey if anybody's interested, wants to see kind of what my movie reviews kind of are like, or you can click on the video up here and learn what Dumbledore actually thought of Voldemort. But that's all I got for you today, so if you enjoyed, please drop a like, subscribe if you want more like this, and I'll see you next time on STV.